Everyone, as today I'll be showing us how to create a Linux server on the AWS platform. So basically popularly called the EC2 instance on the Amazon cloud. So I'll just go to my dashboard. So by the time you get to your dashboard, you can see a summary, the running instances, the dedicated hosts, and a couple of other things. You can see the area where you're creating your resources. So we'll just go ahead to launch server instance, and then by default you would see prepared images that are available on the Amazon Web Services platform. So we'll just select the Ubuntu server, and then we'll see a couple of options or various EC2 server types that we can spin up or create. I would stick with the T2 micro because it's the one that is free, and I'm currently using a free account. So we can go to the next configuration details, where you would see the options, the number of instances, the purchasing option, if it's a request bot instance or an actual instance. Then you would see other options, so we can just go ahead and add storage, and by default it has an 8 gig SSD drive for us, so that's fine. We then go to the next option, which is hard tag. So we need to add tags so that we can identify the server later on if we need to modify or make changes. So the tag is basically a key and value pair, so we give it a key of name, and then the value, let's just call it DevOps again, like we did on the Oracle Cloud tutorial. And then we can just go ahead to configure security group. And by default, since in this tutorial we will, okay, by default it allows, it says, okay, we're going to allow traffic from any IP address to our port 22, so that we can connect to the server via SSH. And then since we also know that we'll be installing a web server on web server on this server, so we would also add another role, and then we would pick HTTP traffic, and that allows traffic from any IP address to our port 18. So we can review our options. It says, okay, we selected an Ubuntu server, the security groups configured, and the tags and the rest, and it looks good. So you can just click on launch, and then it tells us, okay, we need to create a key value pair, a key that would use to connect to our server. Key is basically a pair of public and private keys that we actually use to authenticate ourselves to the server once we've created it. So I'll just click on create a new pair, and I'll call it the DevOps, just like the name of the server. Then I'll download it because we need it to connect to the server later on. So we can just go ahead and then launch the instance, and it goes through the process of creating the server, the security groups, the inbound rules, and all that, and the server is up. So we can just click on this to see the details of the server we just created. And if you look at it, you'd see the name, the instance type, which is T2 micro, the zone where it's located, where our server was created. The state is still spinning up. I'm trying to do that. So while it's spinning up, let me bring up our terminal again. The terminal, inside the terminal for any Unix based system, SSH tool is actually pre-installed. We'll use the SSH tool to connect to our server instance, our Linux server instance. But if you're on Windows, you need to download a tool such as POTC. So you can just Google POTC, and then you can download it if you're on Windows. But since I'm on a Mac, which is a Unix based system, I can just go ahead and use my terminal, which has SSH pre-installed. So our server is up and running. Let's view the details, and just drag this up a little bit so that you can see the details. We'll need the public IP address because that is what we're actually going to connect to. So I can actually just copy it, and then I'll go to my to my instance or my terminal. But so to actually check connection instructions, you can actually click on connect, and then you'd see the connection instructions. So it actually says we need to ensure that our key is not publicly viewable, because if you don't do this it wouldn't work. So we go to our terminal. My key was downloaded to my downloads folder, so we'd run this command which says chmod 400, then the key name. My key is located in my downloads folder, so I just go to my downloads folder, and then the key is called devops.pem, and then I'll press enter. So that makes the key not publicly viewable. Then this is the domain name or the public DNS that the server is using. So we can actually just copy this entire text and just change directory to our downloads folder, since that's where the key is, and then I can just paste that command. Say SSH, then the -i option, and then the key name, and then the default username, and then the DNS name of the server. And just press enter and try and see if we can connect to our server. So since this is the first time that we're connecting to it, they ask if I'm sure, and I'll say yes, I want to connect to it. And then if everything goes well, we're in our server. You can run normal Ubuntu commands such as sudo apt update to get the latest software, or update our repository so that we can have access to the latest softwares that Ubuntu has to provide. And once that is done, so let's just go ahead and then install our web server, which in this case I'll choose to use Nginx. You can use Apache if you like. So sudo apt install Nginx, yes, and that would pull down Nginx and install it on our server, and that is it. So we can just go ahead and copy the public IP address of our server and paste it in the web browser, and we have our web server. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. So join me next time for how to do the same thing on the Azure platform. Thank you.